And shifting our focus to the global lens now, former UK ambassador to the United States, Peter Mandelson, has been released as the Epstein investigation deepens. He was arrested earlier and he's right now on bail. Earlier, the Metropolitan Police said that a 72-year-old man was detained on Monday at a Camden address on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Officers also carried out search warrants in Camden and Wiltshire. Let's tell you more about Peter Mandelson. Well, the release of new tranches of Epstein-related documents in early 2026 has now majorly impacted UK elite. In moments from now, we'll tell you more about Peter Mandelson, who is the ex-UK envoy arrested over Epstein files. Now, he was a long-time UK lawmaker. Apart from this, he was the former UK envoy to the United States of America. Next up, he was the cabinet minister under previous Labour government, that's under the former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair. Apart from that, he also served at high-profile positions within the cabinet. So this is about who was Peter Mandelson. Now, hold up, we'll tell you what are the charges against Peter Mandelson. He maintained ties with Jeffrey Epstein after his 2008 conviction as a sex offender. Next up, he passed sensitive, important information to Jeffrey Epstein. And he passed all these information when he held high-level positions within the cabinet. Apart from this, the probe right now focuses if actions amount to sexual abuse. Hence, these are some of the key charges that hover over Peter Mandelson. As we speak, he is on bail, but he was arrested with his ties over Jeffrey Epstein. Well, allegations involving former UK ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, and former Prince Andrew are only intensifying scrutiny on the government and the monarchy in the United Kingdom. Here's more on the growing calls for transparency and accountability in the United Kingdom. Take a look.
The widening Jeffrey Epstein file scandal has rocked British politics. Former UK ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, was released on bail after being arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The case is tied to the newly released documents pertaining to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mandelson, once a senior Labour cabinet minister, is alleged to have passed sensitive government information to Epstein, including material from his time in office more than a decade ago. The controversy has intensified political pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who appointed Mandelson as ambassador despite long-standing scrutiny over his friendship with Epstein. Critics from opposition parties and within Starmer's own ranks have questioned the vetting process and demanded accountability for the decision. Meanwhile, another high-profile figure at the center of the Epstein fallout, former Prince Andrew, remains under investigation. He was arrested earlier this month on suspicion of misconduct in public office over separate allegations that he shared confidential information with Epstein during his time as a UK trade envoy. He was released under investigation and pressure is building for the disclosure of files related to his appointment and conduct. Some experts suggest that the scandal surrounding Andrew could end the reign of King Charles III if the king had any idea of his brother's alleged misconduct while in public office. As both inquiries unfold, British authorities and Parliament face mounting calls for greater transparency and accountability. Bureau Report, NDTV World.
All right, a few days ago, I spoke with Rina O. She's an Epstein survivor who was brave enough to narrate her ordeal to us. She is one of the most vocal Epstein survivors. Take a look. Joined by Rina O from New York. She's a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse. Rina, thank you so much for joining us here on NDTV. I want to start first by asking you, what happened with you back then? You were 21 when you were introduced to Epstein. And why didn't you realize that, why didn't it register to you that what was happening was sexual abuse?
Well, from an early age, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I was abused by an adult. And I was naturally a very silent person. And I didn't realize it was abuse because I didn't even know when I was younger. And it was very easy to manipulate me. I was already very damaged. And Jeffrey saw that. And he took advantage of me.
Reena, did you adhere? Did you follow what he was saying? How did he perhaps trap you in this kind of a web? And at what time did you realize that I need to get out of this because what is happening to me is sexual abuse by a pedophile?
I think the last time I saw him, he was very violent. And that was the last time I saw him. I just never went back. I didn't answer phone calls. But afterwards, I never spoke up.
It's understandable how terrified you'd be back then. But how do you feel today? You're one of the most vocal Epstein survivors. You've been very brave enough to come out and tell the world what happened with you back then, and that's absolutely not easy, especially with the former UK Prince Andrew being arrested, who was linked with Epstein. How do you feel about all of these things right now?
I think our government here in the United States is not doing enough. It's about time that something like this happened. I know he will never admit to the other allegations. However, this is a stepping stone, and he needs to answer, to everyone. What was he doing around this man long after he was convicted, sentenced, and then he came out of jail? And we've been wondering all these years since he denied any wrongdoing in the other allegations. It's a relief that someone of his stature is being held accountable.
All right, that was Reena O, who was brave enough to speak with us on her torture and abuse with Jeffrey Epstein. Let's tell you more about how the Epstein files is only getting bigger. In the latest, US-based author Deepak Chopra is the latest high-profile name engulfed by the Epstein file storm. While earlier this month, Deepak Chopra had attempted to distance himself from his long-known association with Epstein, newly released Justice Department documents reveal a deep, intimate friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, including messages where Chopra urged him to bring his girls on trips. Our next report telling you more.
Deepak Chopra, the best-selling author and pioneer of integrative medicine, now faces intense scrutiny from the latest dump of Epstein files. The US Justice Department's Epstein library have exposed hundreds of emails and messages between Deepak Chopra and Jeffrey Epstein from 2016 right up to 2019, when Epstein was arrested for sex trafficking underage girls. The author also visited Epstein's properties in New York City, Florida, and even Paris. Emigrating from New Delhi, Chopra built a wellness empire with dozens of bestsellers on spirituality and health, but his ties to Epstein ran deep. The Epstein files revealed emails signing off with words like love or exo, with Deepak telling Epstein how grateful he was for their friendship. In the mail trail, there are two distinct instances when Chopra invited Epstein with girls. In 2017, inviting him to a visit to Israel, Chopra wrote, "If you want, use a fake name, bring your girls would love it." The same year, for a Switzerland workshop, Chopra allegedly told Epstein, "Come with your girls." The shocking revelations came just weeks after Chopra attempted damage control on social media platform X and said that he was never involved in any criminal or exploitative conduct. adding that he regrets his past email exchanges. Chopra now joins big names like the former British Prince Andrew Mountbatten in facing storm over Epstein ties. And as the Epstein web tightens, action against more high-profile names is imminent. Your report, NDTV.
To tell us more about this, I'm now being joined by Patrick Sullivan, founder and chief executive of Parliament Street. He's joining me live from London. Patrick, first up, tell us about how with Peter Mandelson now on bail after he was of course arrested over suspicion of his ties with Jeffrey Epstein, how the Jeffrey Epstein files has taken all the UK elites by a storm at this point of time.
Well, I mean, this scandal might be the very end for Keir Starmer. Starmer put his reputation on giving Peter Mandelson that very key post in America negotiating with Donald Trump. And Peter Mandelson basically deceived him. The thing is what might save him is that the Crown is going through the same problem with Prince Andrew.
Right.
I mean, so the Mandelson scandal and the Prince Andrew scandal are sort of running side by side.
Right, absolutely, Patrick. Yes, please.
So I don't think that Prince Charles would want Keir Starmer to go anywhere, because that would increase the pressure on him. So they're both in the same situation.
Right, while you've given us a lowdown of how pressure is mounting both on the Crown and also the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, tell us more about what's the way forward and why are so many UK elites being engulfed in the Epstein files right now?
Well, as a matter of fact, I mean, the UK elites are far less than in America. It's just that in the UK, action's been taken, whereas in America, action hasn't really been taken.
Okay.
I think that's the key difference. Actually, we've been pretty swift since the announcement of what we found out about both Andrew and Mandelson sharing sort of confidential government secrets to Epstein. To take action. You know, it's only weeks later they're both arrested. You know, this is a guy who is essentially former deputy prime minister.
Right.
You know, totally disgraced, arrested. A former prince of the realm. You know, disgraced, arrested. I mean, this scandal is a big one. It's seismic.
Right, Patrick, I just want to take my last question to you about Peter Mandelson himself. He was the former UK envoy to the United States of America. Right now, he's on bail. But with the Epstein shadow only widening, what kind of probe aspects are we looking at when it comes to Peter Mandelson? We do know that he shared sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein when he held high position within the UK Parliament.
Yeah, and I think this is also where the British scandal with Epstein is different than the American Epstein scandal. But where they're getting these guys is not to do with the sex, it's to do with the money. It's just like how the FBI got Al Capone in the end. It wasn't because he was a gangster, it was because of his bad tax returns. You know, there isn't enough evidence, for instance, to convict Andrew on anything to do with the trafficking or what have you. But it looks like there's enough to convict him on financial mismanagement. Similar is true with Mandelson. It's follow the money.
Right, Patrick, I also want to ask you, do you think enough is being done with the Epstein files fallout, not just in the United Kingdom, but also in the United States of America, with all the names coming under the scanner, high-profile names, former ministers who are being named and called out in the Epstein files? Do you think that the steps that are being taken is enough right now?
I think what we're going to have to wait for is when people like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton have to testify before Congress. Americans like to have these sort of congressional hearings to sort of pump up all the senators. So I imagine a lot of people named in these files are going to sort of be subject to the court of public opinion there. But it's going to be more of a spectacle. It's going to be done in a more American way, if you see what I mean. This is done in a very British and very procedural way.
Earlier you said that that the United Kingdom is taking actions against those who were featured in the Epstein files in all the United States of America. Tell us more about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've just got to look at all the politicians from both sides of the aisle in America that have got ties to Epstein, the amount of business people that have ties to Epstein and continue to have ties to Epstein after he was convicted for child trafficking. I think that's the key thing. People who had business with Epstein prior to that could easily, could genuinely say, well, we didn't know. But there's been a lot of people, including the U.S. Treasury Secretary and Bill Gates and people like that, who continued to have long-term relationships with Epstein after he was convicted, and that's very serious, including going to his island.
Right, Patrick. Right. Thanks very much for joining us on NDTV and sharing insights with us, Patrick.